Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today we have Brandon.
Hello.
And we're here talking about games and things.
Yep, things of games.
Things and games. What's on the agenda this week? Well, Final Fantasy 16 had a demo.
It did.
Also, be careful because leaks are flying around like crazy apparently already.
For 16?
Yeah.
I'm going to avoid all of that.
Yeah, apparently it has already been very... I don't know if it's been ripped or anything, but apparently copies have been seen in some
I don't know how
capacity.
you... Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and share this information with you. I don't know how the hell you would rip a PlayStation 5 game. Because I don't think there is piracy for the PS5 yet, or any kind of like modding tools.
Even if there's not... So, I don't know. This is at least my thought, and you could probably weigh on this yourself. Mm-hmm. But even if there's not a way to say emulate it, per se, there is still a way to look at the files that are in there.
It depends on how it's decoded, because if people haven't even figured out how to decode the PS5's like protection or whatever, like the disk protection, then no, they wouldn't be able to. And I don't also, when you think about like modern computers. Blu-ray players aren't really a thing anymore, or readers and writers for that matter. And we're even like super far away from like, PS4 or Xbox One emulation. Mm-hmm. So when you take all that into account, and the only emulation we kind of have working when it comes to PS4 currently is through digital. Mm-hmm. So when you take all that into account, I don't know how you would rip a PS5 game and then view the data on it. But
what's
that's
it called
just
when people,
my thoughts.
What's it called when people view the data? What's that called? Why can't I ever think of the word?
Data mining?
Yeah, data mining. That's it.
How would you data mine something that hasn't been released? Like, even if you can't even preload the game yet, I don't think.
Well, if there's copies out in the wild, then that means that
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. So I guess there's like cutscenes probably floating around. I mean, more than likely what actually happened is some mom and pop shop has the game. They got their boxes in and they just started instantly selling them. And then people got a hold of copies and started like streaming on places like Kick or something, or on like Discord and stuff like that. That's more than likely what actually happened, more so than someone like ripping a copy. So
I don't know. I mean, if you search PlayStation 5 data mine, obviously there's some suggestion that there could be, but a lot of these games that are data mined, I think, are also on PC, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything one way or other.
And when it comes down to it, there is no PC version of Final Fantasy 16 or any other console version of the game. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
But I will say this, because I guess we're about to talk about Final Fantasy 16 now, because we kind of already started. Mm-hmm. That demo is, like, not only is it the best demo I've ever played in my life, like, legitimately, it is the best demo I've ever played in my life. It might be the best game I've played this year, and I haven't even played it yet.
Okay, I think you're getting ahead of yourself.
No. I'm gonna lay this out for you. I'm gonna let you know this right now. All right, so the demo is continuing to follow Square Enix's amazing trend, which is just the fucking best, of letting you play the first chapter / prologue of the game in its entirety, start to finish. Nothing cut out, none of that, and all the data carries over to the main game. This demo was so good that when I told Katie, this one, the data carries over, and she's like, "Can we just start a new game?" And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because I want to play it again. I want to play the intro again." It was that good. So I'm gonna set this up for you a little bit. I'm gonna try to not really spoil things, but I am going to give you some little information. First of all, they had a little interview with the developers of Final Fantasy 16 and the people that worked on it and everything. And first, they made them sit down and watch the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, only those 4, and the first 2 of Witcher. And that's how they designed this game. Second of all, after playing at least the first 2.5 hours of it, They definitely watched both of those shows to make this game. It feels like an episode of Game of Thrones, or like, good early season Game of Thrones, like really good early season Game of Thrones. They set up enough within the first like 2.5 hours that it like hooks you. Like that, the ending battle that you go through is fucking incredible. The opening that like teaches you like what kind of character you're playing and that sort of thing. We start off by you. I'm not gonna like spoil a lot, but I am gonna have to give some key information, so there will be some minor spoilers here for the first 2 hours of the game. So you start off by playing you and your ragtag group of people that are soldiers fighting in this war. The war is over these crystals and everything. So, the usual stuff that you see in Final Fantasy games, essentially. But this war is, like, on a much grander scale. Like, imagine something like, the final battle in fucking Lord of the Rings, where there's just so much stuff going on at once, and it's, like, a massive scale battle. But instead of just having people and orcs and that sort of thing, imagine all of that stuff, but also you have the summons, like Ifrit or Shiva and that sort of thing, and several people from different warring countries can control those summons, and they are using them on the battlefield in a war, and it is fucking nuts. You are just a soldier group in the middle of said battle, and there's an attack, and you're like running along and everything, and the place like collapses, and you fall, and you get hurt, and you're being dragged off. While you're being dragged off, you go unconscious, and then that takes you back to explaining where your character came from and the entire thing. So then the next hour and a half after that little intro is literally setting up what we just saw, and setting us up as a character, explaining our backstory, because we're unconscious and we're having a flashback to our youth. Okay. And it does a very good job of like doing that whole flashback to youth, setting up everything, what's going on, who's what, and this, that, and the other, and all that stuff. Basically, you are the son of a king for this one kingdom, and you didn't get chosen to be a dominant. And a dominant are people who can actually control summons, such as Shiva, such as Ifrit, such as Titan, stuff like that. Dominants can control those people, but they're like inside their own body. So like those summons live inside of you. And if you can't learn how to control them, then you will kind of go berserk and like kill any and everybody. And that comes up very quickly, like an explanation of how that sort of thing works, because like the dominants are passed on via the bloodline of like royal family and this, that, and the other and whatnot. And you weren't chosen. The other son was chosen. So you're like shunned by your own mother, but your father's just like, yeah, your mother's a bitch, whatever, who cares? Essentially. And you're like your younger brother essentially is the one that's chosen instead, and he's chosen for the power of the Phoenix. And he's never had to use it aside from like using the power to like heal people, so like using it as an actual healing thing. So he's a healer essentially. But by the end of this demo, that sort of thing that I mentioned about not losing control of the dominant power comes into play, and I gotta say, they nailed the like Game of Thrones aspect. I mean, this is very dark. Like, it is the first time I've actually heard an F-bomb dropped in a Final Fantasy game. So there's that. There's a lot of sexual tension at the beginning, like very much so, between different faction players and different families and that sort of thing. So it had like a sort of oh my god, Cersei Lannister thing going on for a bit there at the beginning, and it was like, oh, okay, not like the incest thing, or maybe not. I don't actually know who that character was that was with her, but anyway, there was a character like that at the beginning, and then it just kind of does not give a shit. Like, you are introduced to so many characters in the first 2 hours, and by the end, you're not. Like, that's the best way I can put it.
You're not?
You're not.
Okay.
Super dark. It is super violent. It is very, like, very much so someone watched Game of Thrones and made this, essentially. And when you're playing this, it's the fact that everything flows so well. So, like I mentioned before, where you get knocked out at the beginning, and then like it throws you into a tutorial, but it also is explaining your backstory and where you came from, and setting up your family and their part in this whole war, and explaining your father, who is the king, and doing this, that, and the other, and it's all giving all these characters like a bunch of like backstory and characterization, and making them feel like people that you've spent a very long time with, when it's really just condensed into like an hour and a half of explaining all these different characters. But it feels honestly like you've gone through an entire season of Game of Thrones by the end of that hour and a half of explaining most of the characters and the big players in this whole war and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. It's very well done. It's a combination of the pacing, the music, and just the sheer amount of crazy shit that happens before the end of this demo that made me just like, my jaw was on the floor when I reached the end of it. And Katie was just like, just go buy this now. Buy this now. Buy this right now. And I was like, okay. So we bought it immediately when we finished the demo, because it was that fucking good.
Well, that's good. Hopefully it doesn't end like Game of Thrones, though, because then otherwise just kind of undoes everything that you were just talking about.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but you will notice something that I mentioned. He had his team watch the first 4 seasons. Only those seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only good seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but have you ever played a Final Fantasy game before?
I have. I've played many of them.
And they all go off the fucking rails at the end. So, I don't know.
This was off the fucking rails by the ending of the demo. To be completely honest.
But this sounds like it's off the rails in a good way. Like a lot of Final Fantasy games, like think about Final Fantasy 13 and where that ended up going, like through its progression of game.
Time travel and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? The person that's working on this Final Fantasy, they have consistently done very, very good stories. I don't know if you know like about the person that's working on this Final Fantasy game. Do you know anything about them?
No, I don't think so.
They've written the entire story for the MMO from start to finish. And if there's one thing I know, it's that the best part of the Final Fantasy 14 MMO that currently exists, that is still going strong after like 10 years, is the story. People will literally buy the expansions just to get more story for this game, because it's actually a really good story inside of an MMO.
Okay.
So they took the writer from that game, and he's the writer-director of this game. And he's also known for being very, very passionate. We've had news stories about this guy before. If you recall the last expansion, it got delayed, and he like personally like took it upon himself to, I think it was a pay cut, and also formally apologized to everyone, even though the reason it got delayed was because due to fucking COVID at the time, because it was supposed to release right when COVID hit. And things didn't go so well because of the lockdown in Japan. Lockdown with them, it went a little bit differently than it did with us. So, yeah, there was a lot behind the last Final Fantasy 14 MMO thing, and that man was basically beating himself, like, in public, apologizing profusely because he was not able to reach the original projected date because of something that was out of his hands. So, I think someone that has that much passion and has been on a project for that long and cares that much about, like, you know, the source material and everything, he has a really good chance of actually making a really fucking good game. And if the first, like, 2.5 hours of this demo is anything to go by, he definitely did. The combat is awesome. It has like a lot of Devil May Cry feeling to it, but it's a bit slowed down from what you would see in like Devil May Cry, but it still has the same like oomph, like the same feeling, like the same like impact as something you would have from like a game like Devil May Cry, and that's really really good because it's like it's not doing the whole like, are we just gonna fucking pussyfoot around, or are we actually just gonna go whole hog into this fighting style? They just went straight into this kind of fighting style. It's not a case of do we, don't we, we're gonna like dip our toes in. No, they just went full into it, and it works incredibly well for this game. And I think it also adds a lot to the game because of the fact that you have those really dark tones, you have that really like brooding and dark atmosphere to this game, and then you have a like very visceral combat feeling that adds to that as well, and it all again kind of just flows perfectly. I will probably be spending a shit ton of hours with this game because it comes out in 2 days. By the time you are hearing this, I probably played like 40 hours, even though it's only been released for 24. But yeah, this game looks incredibly good, and what I've been able to play of it so far was awesome. Like, just through and through, this game is awesome.
Alright, that sounds good.
I wish I could tell you the ending of the demo. It's so fucking cool.
Well, maybe someday I'll play it on Xbox.
Yeah, I doubt that. Sadly.
Anything else on the demo to talk about?
No, like I said, the music is fucking amazing though. Like there's a moment towards the end, without spoiling it, that is just choreographed so incredibly well, and the music that's playing is just incredible. If nothing else, when we go to do like Game of the Year, music from this game will probably show up at least in that category because it's so good.
Their music usually is good though. I'd be surprised if it was not.
Oh yeah,
can't really think of a bad Final Fantasy music.
Yeah, I know. That's why like Theatrhythm is such a good game because of the fact that like it's entirely involving one of the best parts of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I will move on to the next thing.
Okay.
This is called The Finals, and I'm gonna be completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this.
Why wouldn't you be allowed to talk about it?
Because it doesn't exist yet.
Oh.
So I got
it exist?
Because it's not out.
Huh.
So I get to play a new upcoming pseudo battle royale called The Finals. I really don't care. You can keep this in. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Okay. This game is very different and very interesting. So it's a 3v3 v3 multiplayer shooter that's somewhere in between a battle royale game such as like Apex Legends, a Call of Duty game, and like Battlefield, like older Battlefields.
Okay.
And probably with a sprinkling of Rainbow Six Siege in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you get dropped into this arena, right?
Yeah.
And in this arena, there is a safe. And the safe is full of money. Just full of money. The way you play this game is you and your team of 3 players are fighting against the other 2 teams of 3 players to get to that safe. And once you get to that safe and get the safe, you then have to go to a drop-off point to extract the funds and deposit them into your team's banking account.
Okay.
The person that has the most money by the end of the match wins, essentially. Okay. And that's how it works. But the really, really cool thing about this game is the way it works. Mm-hmm. So this game has lots of really interesting... not really abilities, but like things, like gadgets you can use. Like there's this grenade that instead of exploding, creates like a condensed wall. So you can get into said building where you need to like deposit the money and everything. And it might be a small building, but you can like create walls around you by throwing those grenades. You get like 2 of them and that sort of thing. So you can like block off the windows so that it makes it easier for you guys to be able to deposit the money. But every single thing in this game is destructible. Everything.
Okay. That's
cool. That's the super fucking cool part about it. You can be in the building that's like hanging above like the main like area of the game, like it's up in the air essentially. Like you have to use a jump pad to get to it. But people could like launch a grenade, like a normal grenade, or shoot like canisters or whatever at that building from below and break the floor that you are standing on, thus making it harder for you to be able to deposit said money that you have like looted. And it's such a cool dynamic of fighting in crumbling buildings and just watching everything explode around you.
Mm-hmm.
And like just kind of completely decimating the entire play field to fight over this like this amount of money and try to. It has like a game show feel to it the whole time, and it works really, really well because like the time to kill, which is the amount of time it takes between you shooting someone and their health completely draining. Yeah, I know it's pretty self-explanatory, but sometimes you need to be thorough with that kind of information. The time to kill in this game is very similar to like a Call of Duty game, where it's like super fast, really easy to completely obliterate someone. But there's respawns, and you can respawn either by inserting coins, or by having your teammate actually come and revive you. So it's got that kind of Battlefield feel as well, where like you have like a person that could play like a medic, essentially. Not actually playing a medic, but they could be a self-appointed medic where they go around and try to save their teammates when they're like the last person standing. So instead of like focusing on going and getting the money, they focus on bringing their team back so they have the players, and you know, you can have the 3v3 instead of a 1v3 against, you know, the other teams and that sort of thing. And it's a really neat and interesting idea that I hope does really well. There's a few other things to it. There are 3 different body types. There's like a short and skinny, which is kind of like your stealth-based character, so your character that's going to like use silenced pistols, sniper rifles, be a kind of distance player. There's the normal one, which is just like a guy with an assault rifle, and that's basically it. You use the assault rifle to kill people, and you have those grenades I mentioned, which allow you to like board up windows and block off areas, kind of like expand out like an expanding foam, and then kind of encase the place in that foam. You have these jump pads that you can drop down, which allow you to like go far across the map by placing them in strategic areas and whatnot, or to get up high to like places that are floating in the sky where you have to deposit said money that you've captured. And then you have like the heavy, which has the grenade launchers, has the big shotguns, has all of that stuff. And it feels like a really, really good game. Like the gunplay feels awesome. The dynamic of, you know, choosing your character's body type instead of like choosing like, oh, this is going to be my character. His name's like Joe Bob and he has like a limp leg and he's really tall, or some dumb shit like you would see in like fucking you know, Overwatch or Apex Legends, where they have different things like that. It's like, no, it's not heroes. It's a body type for your custom character that you're making in this game. And then you get loadouts based on like which kind of custom character you're playing. And I think this has a lot of potential to be a really, really good game. It's going to like remain to be seen, like when it officially releases. A lot of factors are going to go into if this is actually good. It's probably going to need to be free to play. I like, to be completely honest, this needs to be a free to play game for this to be good. For this to do good, not be good, but for this to do well. Yeah. It needs to not have like over monetization, and it needs to not have any kind of monetization that gives you a advantage in the actual competitive space. And then I really think they just gotta like keep those servers running well to like actually have everything come together, and also optimization, that sort of stuff. I was playing it on my high-end PC, obviously, and I really didn't have that many issues with it, but I also couldn't get more than like 70 and sometimes 80 FPS in 4K, but that's with like a $2,000 PC. So like that's a little bit concerning for the way it might work on like console and stuff, but I'm sure they can figure out something for that. But I do think this has a really good chance of being like an awesome game. It has a good chance of being a very competitive and really fun game. So,
it sounds interesting.
It's really cool. I really want it to do well because like it's different. It's different enough, but it still has a lot of elements of other games that it feels similar at the same time. So like it's its own thing while also taking the good ideas from other games such as like Levolution from Battlefield and the like Time to Kill from like a Call of Duty game, and then like the idea of how you would build something like a Rainbow Six Siege, where you could like build up defenses for whenever you're capturing something or holding a hostage or what have you, and trying to save them. But in this sense, it's a game show setting, and it's very it's not really taking itself seriously, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. It's just kind of dumb fun, and I really like that element of it. And I think if they really lean into that and do the things I mentioned before, such as not making the monetization awful to the point where, it becomes like pay to win or that sort of thing, and making sure that the optimization is good, if they are able to do that, I think they really do have a chance with this game to like be something special.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of good stuff going on there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
When is it supposed to come out?
I have no idea. Okay. I was given access to it on Steam randomly. I woke up one morning and I had an email that said, "You have been granted access to the finals." And I was like, okay, cool. And then I played it for like an hour, 2 hours. And I mean, I had a fucking blast playing it, but like, it just says coming soon on the like official page. So I can't really say anything. Everything else is like to be determined. Like even the system requirements are like, I don't fucking know. And honestly, after playing it, I don't really know either.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they probably don't know either, to be honest. They're probably figuring it all out.
Yeah. So apparently I got accepted into a closed beta, and I had told them that I was interested in playing this in the past from what I'm seeing here. And the beta ends on the 21st. And we might be getting more information on the actual release sometime after that. So maybe next week I'll have some more information for this game, but right now I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Anything else?
Nope, that is it.
Okay. Well, I've been playing more Advance Wars. That's what I've been doing. I kind of woke up the other day and I was just the other day. It was in between, I think, when we talked about it 2 weeks ago and now. But I kind of woke up one day and I was like, I just had like this Advanced Wars strategy in my mind because I was like stuck on a level. That's where I am right now. And it's just kind of, I don't know, I got really sucked into it. I really like the variety that this game has. There's so much variety in these stages. And it's just kind of like one time you'll be doing, maybe more like a, turn-based strategy, build up your army from scratch to, take over the map kind of thing. And the next one, you might be doing more of like a strategic kind of puzzle, fog of war kind of map. So,
okay,
I really have been liking what I've been playing there. I like, I don't know, I just got to a new stage yesterday, which is I'm wrapping up like the Yellow Comet storyline. So, I don't even know where I am. I think I'm somewhere around like halfway done, at least with this game. So, I'm just chugging along, and I don't know, it's interesting. There's so much good stuff here. I think like the characters are fun. You have a lot of good music in there. I think the animations are fun. I don't know. I probably won't dawdle on this game too much because I've talked about it a few times lately. But no, I really enjoy it because I think I talked about it before. I did not play the only Advance Wars like core kind of Advance Wars game I played from beginning to end was Days of Ruin. Now I finished the first one and in the Reboot Camp, and I'm, like I said, about halfway through the second one. And it's nice to see like how much has changed and how much it's kind of evolved from there, and kind of what they used from the first game to kind of make it like a stepping stone into this new game with a different variety that they have. So I like what I've been playing so far. I think it's a lot of fun. I really hope that they give a way forward. I think it would be nice if they gave them a chance to kind of like maybe update Dual Strike, which was the DS one that was built in like the same universe. Because I feel like they could just use a lot of their same assets there. Mm-hmm. If I remember, I don't think that game particularly used the two screens very interestingly.
I don't know if it did either.
I think it kind of just used it more for like, I think the bottom screen like always had the map on it, and I don't know, I think the top screen was like stories or character data or something. But yeah, no, like I said, I do really like what they've been doing with this, so I think it's pretty nice. But since I talked about it a lot the last couple of weeks, and I don't really have a terrible amount of new stuff to say about it, that's kind of where I'll leave it until I get to play more of it.
Okay.
What else have I been doing since last week? New season of Black Mirror's out. Love that show.
Nice. How is it?
It's good so far. You like Black Mirror, didn't you?
I did. I didn't watch a lot of it, but what I did watch of it, I did like very much so.
Yeah, it's kind of like, for those that don't know, it's kind of like technology Twilight Zone kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Where like, the technology that we use kind of, I don't know, it's a benefit, but it kind of screws you over at the same time kind of thing. They had some interesting concepts that I've seen so far. The first episode of this season, what is it called? Jane is Awful? I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Kind of has a little bit of a mindfuck in it, and I was kind of surprised at where it goes at the ending. And I was like, oh, okay, I like this, and I kind of like the twist that we have here. That was pretty nice. Second episode kind of takes a different approach. Both the first two episodes kind of both riff on Netflix a little bit. Like kind of their technology thing kind of has to do with the streaming service itself, which I thought was interesting. You wouldn't really necessarily think about kind of the shit that goes into it. But just kind of interesting takes on how they kind of created things. And some of it has to do with like AI generation and just kind of, I don't know, it's neat. So there's 5 episodes this season. I've watched 3 so far, and I thought all 3 episodes were good. The last one I watched, the third episode's a little long. Like it's kind of like, I think it was like an hour and a half long, but it was like, I would say 20 minutes longer than it needed to be.
Okay.
But I liked it. Thought it was good. And I feel like there is something else I want to talk about. Oh, random board game thing. And I haven't played it yet. I just got it in the Amazon. But I was excited because I love Clue stuff. They made a new version of Clue, like a new different version of Clue.
Nice.
Yeah, and this one is kind of, it's what is the kind of the type of game called? Kind of like a hidden motives kind of game, I would say. So,
okay.
The theme is kind of like, how does it work? So the idea is after, actually kind of uses like a story, surprisingly. Because, the classic Clue, you're in the mansion, and then, Mr. Body or Mr. Black or whatever they feel like calling him in that particular version gets murdered, and, you're trying to figure out who did it with where and with what, whatever. So this one's kind of like, takes place just after the murder, and everyone's like, oh, let's go on a fucking vacation. And so they go to like a resort, and then there's this Mr. Coral there, and well, apparently someone's trying to murder him. And you got all the people there that were in the mansion that day, plus some new people. But it's interesting because you have all these rooms, and then there's like traps. And the way it works is there's one person who's kind of like, you all get like secret roles at the beginning of the game. Like some of you are like friends, and one of you is like the conspirator, like the conspirator ringleader, I think is what they call it. And then you kind of have like like an ally to that, like a co-conspirator kind of thing.
Okay.
So you all get secret roles, and then it's kind of like you have to, work as a group to kind of 2 different ways. Like the good people win if you disable all the traps, and Mr. Coral survives. But the bad guys win if you lure him into a trap and he dies. And there's all these different kind of like mechanics behind it. It's surprisingly complex for a Clue game, but it seems like it's a really interesting take on that kind of whole like hidden agendas kind of game. So I haven't got a chance to play it yet. I just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of got the game and I nerded over the rules and like what's in there. But it seems like it's a nice take on kind of the classic Clue gameplay where you still have kind of that murder mystery to solve, but you also have people that instead of trying all, kind of separately trying to solve a mystery, this time you got two people that are definitively the murderers. They know they're the murderers, and you're trying to stop them or, I don't know, commit the murder. So it's interesting. I kind of like the hot take on it. So
yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. Really interested to see what they do with it. This year they've kind of been talking about wanting to do a lot of new Clue things, kind of like invigorate that, I don't know, call it franchise, I guess. And if you remember, we talked about it a while ago where they did like they revamped Clue with all the kind of the sexy new Clue characters that people were losing their mind about. So I said they're kind of like picking up where that left off and doing some new stuff. There's a new mobile game coming out for it with these new characters. So you got that coming out, and that's in July. And the last one ended up getting ported to the different consoles. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one does too. But yeah, so it just kind of seems like, a lot of interesting stuff going on there. So,
yeah, it definitely sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. But there's that. Other thing I'm really excited for, super excited, is a Nintendo Direct coming out. They just announced it today.
Yes.
Yeah. And, well, we don't really know much. It's going to be 40 minutes of games, so it's pretty significantly lengthy.
Yeah,
Nintendo Direct.
That's a big amount.
Yeah, they said it's going to be mostly focused on games for the remainder of this year. So we know that things that we know will probably be there. Pikmin 4 definitely will be there. That is the chronologically the last announced game currently that Nintendo has, because that is coming out in July. They've not announced any games coming out after that date at this point. And then they also, I would assume, will talk about that sequel to, what was it, 1-2 Switch? I don't remember what the sequel's called.
I don't think that's happening.
You don't think what's happening?
I don't think they will even mention 1-2 Switch.
You don't think they're going to talk about the sequel that they announced?
Nope.
Okay. We'll see.
I think they want to bury that bitch.
They tweeted about it again today.
That's fine. That's all as much as you're getting.
What do they say? Everybody 1-2 Switch is coming to Nintendo Switch on 6/30.
That's enough.
Pre-order now. Oh, there's another tweet. We invited 16 content creators from all around the world to Tokyo for some hilarious horsing around and everybody 1-2 Switch.
I'm telling you, it's not going to be part of the thing. That's the reason why you've got those tweets. That's why you've got those videos. And you got to make it part of the Nintendo Direct if you do that.
I hope so. I don't want them to spend any time on it because I could care less about that game. But they might. Anyways, speculation time. What do you think they're going to have?
I am going to keep guessing this until it manifests itself. I really want Wind Waker HD on the Switch. It's something I'm just going to keep doing until it happens.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable one.
Yep.
I do think, and I do, maybe not necessarily Wind Waker, but I do kind of feel like that we're going to see some more like past gen game ports during this Direct. I feel like those are kind of nice filler titles.
Well, what else is left other than Wind Waker and Twilight Princess?
Just in general, like across all platforms, or just from the Wii U?
Wii U.
From the Wii U? Those would be the big ones from that. Like, I think we're definitely getting those games.
Yeah.
But, if we're talking about other stuff, like, obviously we could see, it's not my most likely one, but, Metroid Prime 2, obviously could be a nice,
okay. All right.
If that one's done, that could be a nice kind of fill-in title. Another one that I actually kind of think is more serious, because I think it's actually a legitimate rumor, is F-Zero GX port. I think that one seems more likely, and I think we could see that announced. Okay. I feel like that's a nice filler title. So I think that one's there. There was what other ones were there that were rumored? The 2 Metroids. Well, we've been talking about the 2 Zeldas, and then F-Zero. So I think that's kind of the big ones there. We did just get a date for the Fate and Kato's 1 and 2 collection. not quite, that same line. And then there's some rumors about, things that we're going to see at this Direct.
Okay, what are the rumors? That's what I want to hear.
So it kind of started off with, let me pull it up. Do I still have it here? I think so. I just had it open. This is Oh, okay, here it is. So, 2D Mario.
Okay.
And remake of an SNES game is kind of... So this Twitter leaker had started with that. He said that there's going to be a new 2D Mario and a remake of an NES game. Did not say which SNES game. Apparently, he's previously announced the Everybody 1-2 Switch and Sonic Superstars prior to their announcement.
Remake of an SNES game.
So, and this is kind of where... This one is where it gets interesting. We're talking about all these rumors, but, it's kind of... I don't know, I guess this is where you separate the men from the boys kind of thing. Because I feel like every leaker, since they've seen this, has started throwing out what they think they supposedly have been told the SNES game is. So one of them makes sense, I think, purely from what we know point of view. And that one is the Fire Emblem remake of the first NES, not the first NES game, the second NES game.
Okay.
Which I can't remember what the subtitle is right now off the top of my head for whatever reason. But that was rumored to have been in development for a while.
All right.
And if you remember when we talked about Fire Emblem Engage, apparently when they data mined it, they found out that there was like a missing Fire Emblem in between that had not been released or announced. So seems like a safe bet. Maybe it's that remake of that game.
Okay.
But, depending on how you split hairs, not necessarily an SNES game because it was Super Famicom.
Okay.
And also, we just got a Fire Emblem game 6 months ago. So are we going to announce a new one already? I don't know. Seems too soon. Might want to let that one sit in the back burner a little bit longer. So,
all right. So let me hit you with 5 choices for NES game, Super Nintendo games that I think would be good. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Yoshi's Island.
Okay.
What do you think first for that?
Okay. I don't know. That one I don't necessarily think needs a remake. I think that's a pretty solid platformer. If you were going to do anything in that game, it would just be like updating the graphics. And I think the pixel art kind of looks great for that. So I don't think it needs it.
Okay. Demon's Crest.
Never played it. I can't. I don't even know what it is.
The Legend of the Mystical Ninja Goemon.
Never played it.
Dragon Quest V.
That one seems like it could be likely. Isn't Square doing like a 2D, 3D pixel update for Dragon Quest 3?
They're actually doing a lot of different Dragon Quest games right now, or designing them in the Octopath Traveler engine. Yeah. Remaking them in that engine.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that would probably be that one. I think is a reasonable guess.
Mm-hmm. Is that 4? Yeah. Okay. The only other one that I want it to be, but it definitely will not be, is Illusion of Gaia.
And it could be. So let me tell you what some of the other rumored ones have been. Okay. So, and this one, so I've been speculating on this one for at least a year, if you remember. Mm-hmm. Super Mario RPG apparently was thrown out by one of the leakers as someone reached out to him and told him that this was going to be one of the...
That just sounds fake. That just sounds fake. Sorry. That'd be like saying Chrono Trigger is going to be one of them.
Well, that was the other one that it's been thrown around.
So those are bullshit. No way.
I think Super Mario RPG kind of has more credence to it, personally.
Really?
Reason being, reason being, and it's speculated on before, as this was kind of, brewing. But if you remember, it's kind of like it's been suspiciously absent from the Switch Online. Mm. Obviously, there's some stuff, Square or whatever, and the rights or whatever, but it's not been an issue in the past. It's appeared on the other platforms. So obviously Nintendo can make a deal for it. So, and they know it's a popular title. So it makes sense. So I think the reason it's not been there is because it has been being worked on as a possible remake title. I think that one's theoretically possible. Chrono Trigger.
Don't. I don't think anything Square Enix is the answer, unless it's Dragon Quest.
Square has been going through and remaking a lot of their stuff lately.
Yes, but there's some specific ones that I don't expect to see. Chrono Trigger and Mario RPG
Cross.
are two. Yes, but Chrono Cross is. There's a reason why they redid Chrono Cross, and it's because no one cares about Chrono Cross.
And you know what? They still don't. But you think about we just had all the Final Fantasy Pixel Perfect remasters,
which are very good, by the way.
Yeah, and they did that remake of Chrono Trigger on the DS, which probably 20 years ago now at this point. But it's not like they're completely abstaining from coming back to it. I feel like it would look really nice in that Octopath kind of art style.
Oh, absolutely. So, but you would still have to have Akira Toriyama's artwork and all that good jazz, because that's just kind of a given.
And like I said, Mario RPG, I feel like graphically that's in more desperate need of update, but I don't think it will need a lot of gameplay update. I think it would translate pretty nicely without too much extra stuff.
Yeah.
And then obviously Mario's a hot commodity right now, so it kind of seems like it'd be a nice kind of chew-in for easy money. And also, that game was never properly released in the EU. So, people will love it. They'll eat it right up.
All right, then.
Yeah. So, there was that. Those were kind of like the three kind of SNES remake rumors that I kind of saw floating around. There's other ones that people kind of speculated about. Metroid, Super Metroid was one where people could use a remake. I think that game plays really well on the Super Nintendo, but I don't necessarily disagree that it functionally might work better with a little bit of a quality of life kind of improvements. There are some oddities with that game, but it's not so bad that I necessarily think it needs it either. So you got stuff like that. So yeah, those are kind of the things. And the other part of this rumor too, because I kind of just dumped them both out at once, was this new 2D Mario thing. So supposedly they also went back and kind of reiterated it's not part of the new Super Mario Brothers series. It's something different. So what that means, I don't know. They also posted an image of Mario Maker Mario in his builder suit twerking. So does that mean maybe it's something for Mario Maker? Does it mean it's just kind of them talking about the 2D Marios? Don't know. Not sure what it is. Be nice to get maybe 2D Mario that's different. I feel like they probably could build on it in some way, but not really sure. And I feel like at this point we are due for a new Mario game. It's been a while since we've kind of had anything. Hey, what was it? The last kind of new, not Mario Maker 2D Mario game I think was New Super Mario Brothers Wii U.
Okay.
So it's been a while. That was a launch game for the system, and that was, 2012? I think that's when the Wii U came out? It sounds about right. Because the Switch is, 7 years or whatever at this point? I think. I don't know what my math is. It's old. I don't remember that. And then the Wii U was, 5 years before that. So, we're talking at least 10 years, if my math's even bad. So, yeah, it's time for it. And the 2D Marios always sell really well. So, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense to me, at least. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. There was some more GameCube game rumors as well.
Okay.
Speaking of, because another one that popped up was a remake of, and I feel like this is another kind of pipe dream kind of game, but it was, fuck's it called? Thousand Year Door.
Yeah, that's a pipe dream, but I would like that. That would be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Choices.
So,
you know what else is a pipe dream? It's not going to happen, but I actually wish it was.
What?
Another Kid Icarus game. Kid Icarus Uprising. Oh, dude. That would be good.
I would be even happy with just kind of a ported kind of HD upgrade for that one.
Yeah, I would love that. That was one of my favorite 3DS games.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The voice acting's great. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I think that one would be a great one to have. What else has been rumored in there as well?
Is Xenochronicles X one of them? I feel like
that one I've not seen, but and it kind of crossed my mind as, maybe a possibility is like, oh, maybe they'll do this. But we did just have the end of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC, and that hasn't even been out a year yet.
Yeah, why wouldn't we go ahead and announce Xenoblade Chronicles X? Be like, hey, finish the whole game, trilogy, story, everything. There you go. It's all done.
See that being one that they announced maybe like for early next year or something. Like sometimes they'll be like,
yeah, I mean, they could still announce it during today's show, though.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a few other things that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, but maybe more on the Professor Layton game that was announced.
Yeah,
could you remember that was announced recently?
I
know this is dumb because it was already announced at Microsoft, but this goes to some other rumors that have been floating around. I think they will announce a bunch of Atlas things, including the Persona 5 Tactica, which was just announced at Microsoft show, as you already know. Persona 3 Reload, which was also announced at Microsoft show, as you already know, which is the remake of Persona 3. And I think they will announce a new DLC for Shin Megami Tensei 5, or a new version, like a complete version of Shin Megami Tensei 5. But, and this is where the prediction goes into what I've seen rumors of, I think then after that new version is announced, Shin Megami Tensei 5, it will be announced for all platforms after the Nintendo show as well. Because it's been rumored that Shin Megami Tensei 5 would be getting a complete version with new content and would be released on Steam, Game Pass, PS5, alongside the new content for Switch. That's been rumored for a long while, and if it was going to be announced, it would be announced now.
Yeah, and actually, I just did see that rumor pop up again recently, that Shin Megami 5 Complete or whatever was going to be announced soon. I don't think it was necessarily even tied to this specifically. That rumor was just kind of like, hey, this is coming soon. So, yeah, I think that's likely. And as for
I really want it to happen because I want to play Shin Megami Tensei 5 on something that can play Shin Megami Tensei 5.
And then for, what was it? The Persona 3 remake. Yeah. Apparently there was a video posted to YouTube that listed Switch as one of its platforms.
It did list the Switch as one of the platforms. It was actually on the Microsoft video that it was listed as well. So that kind of already outed it as being on the Switch as well, but we haven't had that announced by Nintendo. So a lot of Nintendo fans might not know that it's also releasing on the Switch. So this would probably be a good time to announce, hey, this is also releasing on the Switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's reasonable expectation. And speaking of GameCube games, I don't know, some people are speculating based on something else that maybe Pikmin 1 and 2 remasters are coming to the Switch.
Okay.
Also, I don't know, possible, I guess. Pikmin 4 is coming out this year. Why not? Pepper the water with some older Pikmin games in case people wanted them.
Okay.
I don't feel like those games would take a terrible amount of upgrading to make them work. So, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, I want to think of the most out there, ridiculously weird thing that could be announced for the Switch today. See if we can think of like the most stupid thing we can think of for the Switch. It can be from any console. It can be from anything. It's one of those games that you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
HD remaster of Eternal Darkness.
Okay, well that's just not happening. You and I.
You said both out there. So
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, I'll give you that one. I will go. The two games. One of them has been announced for the Switch before, about 4 years ago, and never released. Yeah. So it's been pretty much confirmed that it's not releasing on Switch at this point, but I will still go for it. I will say Genshin Impact and Honkai Impact will be announced for the Switch, which are two insanely popular mobile games. The Honkai Impact Star Rail just released, and Genshin Impact you probably know as fucking like people spend their life savings on that game.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to originally come to the Switch, if you recall. And then I will go one more ridiculous thing.
Uh-huh.
Street Fighter 6.
Okay, that one's pretty ballsy.
Mm-hmm.
It could. I feel like it's been a while though since Nintendo's had like a real Street Fighter game.
Yep. I do think that Street Fighter 6 could potentially run on the Switch in some way, and have it be playable. I do think there are a lot of signs that Street Fighter 6 is also going to be released on something else from what we've seen in the game data, but I don't know what that something else would be. So,
okay.
I showed you earlier the World of Horror game.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be announced tomorrow, but I'm going to also throw my hat in for that one just in case, because that game is incredible, and I really would like more people to be able to play it. I know it's coming to Switch, but I don't think it'll be announced on the show. But if it does, that's pretty fucking cool, because it deserves to be looked at. In case you don't know or didn't really looked at the video, that game is essentially like a roguelike D&D-esque board game where the whole world is just kind of going to shit, and it's all these horror Cthulhu type shits, like very Lovecraftian stuff that's going on. And you find items as you're exploring the town, but you explore the town by taking turns and being I want to go to this place on this turn, and then random things can happen when you go to the places, and you actually roll the dice to see what that random thing is going to be, and there's so many different things that can happen to you. It's very neat. It's a really interesting game that kind of has infinite possibilities with the way a run could go, and it's really fun that way. So yeah, I'll just shout out a few other ridiculous things that I don't think will ever happen, but would be cool if they did. Phasmophobia, which was just announced for other consoles recently, and that game's awesome. I don't really know why it couldn't run on Switch. It probably could. Okay. I think Power Wash is on Switch already, so I'm not going to say Power Wash. But I will say... I'm going to go with more mobile games. I'm going to go with Marvel Snap. That game is fucking awesome. It's another game that's stealing everyone's wallet away from them. And I do think that game is due for a console release at some point. Mm-hmm. So I do think with that being just a card game, it would be a viable game to release on Switch. Obviously, you're not going to be playing it out in public because... you really can't, but I do see that game being something that could be showing up on Switch in the future. I don't fucking know. Pizza Tower, I'm still going to keep betting on. I'm still going to keep betting on Ultra Kill, those sort of games. I don't think any of those will show up on Switch, but I do think they are perfect for Switch. Maybe the Metal Gear Collection that was shown off with one quick screen cap at the end of the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake that was announced. Maybe that's coming to all platforms. I know it's coming to Xbox. Maybe it's coming to Switch as well, because, you could easily play Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 on the Switch without a problem. Just the original versions of them. So, having those at 1080p, 30, or whatever on Switch, that wouldn't be that big a deal at all. So, maybe something like that.
I think it's Twin Snakes.
Huh?
They could do Twin Snakes.
Maybe. I don't actually know if they would be able to do that.
Why?
Licensing-wise. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Twin Snakes would be awesome, though, because Twin Snakes is one of the best Metal Gear games. Yeah. Next to Snake Eater. Snake Eater's fucking incredible.
I thought of a more out there.
Okay.
Kind of guess, which, I don't know. I feel like a new Rhythm Heaven. Or part of the other Rhythm Heaven. I would love that.
All right.
I feel like that's... we had a new WarioWare not that long ago. So
that's true.
Rhythm Heaven kind of seems like it could be, a possibility. Like I said, I think Rhythm Heaven for the 3DS was so great that just kind of remastering that for the Switch, I think would be kind of a nice easy thing to do. But I don't know. I don't fucking know if they will or not. Who knows?
Yeah. Who really does know? There's a lot of stuff here. Fucking a cloud version. No, you know what? No, they wouldn't do a cloud version, but it would be like actual dog shit, and I don't know how they would do it otherwise. Never mind, I'm not gonna do that one. I was gonna say a cloud version of Cyberpunk, and then I was like, no. They wouldn't do a cloud version of that game.
Someone on Reddit joked maybe a cloud version of Like a Dragon.
Would they release the Like a Dragon games on Switch? They would probably have to release all the other games on Switch first. So I would be more inclined to see the Yakuza series on Switch before the Like a Dragon series. Because, in case you don't know, Like a Dragon is the start of a new series, but with the next games that come out in the Like a Dragon series, they heavily involve the plotline from the other 6 games that already exist.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Actually, you know what? Another one. If we wanted like extreme kind of Super Nintendo remake guesses, Earthbound.
That's not ever happening. That is absolutely ridiculous to even say. But I do understand where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from. But yeah, that's not happening. I looked at that one on the list of top games, right? Mm-hmm. In like the supposed remakes, and I just laughed for a second. I had to mute my mic when I saw it, because like there's no fucking way they're doing Earth. No, they're not gonna touch Earthbound. Like,
if they did, again. I think they would do it as like a full compilation. Do all 3 at once. Give them nice shiny coats of paint. Like, I don't know. In my mind, I imagine it kind of like what they did with Link's Awakening. Kind of that kind of, art style, not sandboxy, kind of diorama style looking thing. Mm-hmm. I could see them doing something like that, but I don't think they would touch it as a single game. I think they would touch it as a series.
I just don't think they would touch it, period. I feel like they've kind of decided already that they won't do anything with Earthbound anymore, aside from releasing the characters in Smash Brothers.
I think they will eventually. Speaking of, DLC stuff, I think they'll do. I think we'll see the DLC for Tears of the Kingdom. I think that will be at least announced.
Yeah, I think so too.
Along with the new amiibo that were data mined. I think those will be on there. I think we'll see maybe a snippet about the DLC for Pokemon. I guess it depends if they're going to do a Pokemon thing separately, because sometimes they do.
Yeah, I do think we could see like maybe a little hint at the snippet of the DLC, and then there'll be like a Pokemon Direct coming in July and on this date or something like that.
Well, we'll talk about this. Keep your eyes open. We'll see probably the next wave of Mario Kart DLC. That's got to be coming up soon. So I think those are all kind of gimmies for the DLC stuff.
I'm just gonna keep saying it. Also, Vampire Survivors. I don't know why it's not here yet. Vampire Survivors. I'm just gonna say it. Vampire Survivors.
Could be. It could be. Could be this time. This is the time. And
or something more ridiculous, because I know it's not going. I know it's not gonna make it before Vampire Survivors, and I know there's a lot of red tape involved in the game, but possibly a release of the there's a HoloLive version of Vampire Survivors that is free. Like, it's a free game, essentially. It's called HoloCure, and it's a Vampire Survivors clone involving VTubers, like the ones that are the most paid streamers in all of like social media and that sort of thing. Someone that was a fan made their own game based off of them, and it's being released as an actual game, not for paid, but it's being released where it's not just on the person's fan site, like it's actually making it to platforms. So if there is no Vampire Survivors, I'm gonna guess that is the most out there answer, because there's like no way in hell I would see that ever being something announced.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
I don't know. I feel like this direct is kind of just it's in a really weird place.
Yeah, I have no idea what can be here, to be completely honest. Like at all.
And just because like speculation is that whatever is replacing the Switch will be out next year. So obviously they're not going to go too crazy with games this year, but they have enough stuff that's probably been in the back burner, kind of like what we were talking about, like ports and stuff. that would be exciting, but not necessarily new and not eat up a lot of development time. That they probably could, use to fill those gaps pretty easily and make a pretty satisfying end of year without, going too hog wild with, stuff that might be compelling for a new system. So I kind of think, we'll see more of that kind of stuff as opposed to stuff that's, like I said, I think we'll get probably something new. I wouldn't be surprised if this new 2D Mario rumors true. I think that's kind of, it seems like it's about time, and it seems like it's kind of not like a high budget kind of like easy to make kind of thing. So
yeah. So going by what we've seen in the last few directs, I think we're going to see every farming game in existence. So we'll see Rune Factory 6, Rune Factory 3 Special Edition, Harvest Moon's new game, and the Story of Seasons new game. Those will all be there. We'll also see the new game from the Stardew developers, and we'll probably see the horror Stardew game, which I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
But there's this game that's called Bloom Town: A Different Story. And when you're like watching the trailer for it, it looks like a Stardew clone, like Stardew Valley, like Harvest Moon, those kind of games.
Yeah.
But like the more you watch of the trailer, the more the game looks like it becomes corrupted until eventually it's no longer like the same kind of game whatsoever, and you've like gone to another dimension and you're like fighting in a JRPG style instead. And it's fucking weird. It was something that I saw last week shown off, and it looked really cool. And for the longest time I was convinced that I dreamed it and it didn't actually exist because I could not find the trailer after I saw it initially last week. But I found it last night, so there you go.
Alright.
Yep.
Anything else you think to talk about for the Nintendo Direct?
No. Diablo 4, there we go. That's the last thing I'll take a guess at.
Oh, I would be. That's not totally absurd.
Oh, I actually just saw a video pop up that said, here's the list of every rumored game for tomorrow's Nintendo Direct. It was put out an hour ago.
Oh, and that was one of the ones they thought maybe?
No, I'm looking through the video now. Dude, the ending of this video is fucking dumb. This is just everyone's like wish list of what they want the most. So like this person has like Metroid Prime. It's one of the actual outlets, but they have like Metroid Prime 4 re-reveal. They have Kirby's Air Ride. They have Chrono Trigger HD 2D remake using the Octopath Traveler engine. F-Zero GX remaster. Wind Waker. Twilight Princess. There's the Paper Mario 1000-Year Door rumor. Mario Sluggers.
Oh, I did just see that one too. I thought that one was probably fake, but hey, it's possible.
So all these are very wishful thinking. This is just every rumored game for tomorrow's Nintendo Direct. If we get even 2 of these, I'll be very, very surprised.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I was gonna say though, I feel like this is it has a lot of potential to be. How do I put this so it makes sense? There's a lot of potential to be like either the best Direct ever or the worst Direct ever. I feel like Nintendo is riding high on hype right now. So just because we know so little about what's coming out, that they could, either blow it out of the park or realistically, more likely, they're unlikely to meet anyone's expectations. Because everyone will be so hyped up. So, they could announce, half of the stuff we said and people would still be like, oh, it's a disappointment. So, we'll see. We don't even have, by the time this episode's out, you'll already know it was in there. And you can just be like, oh, let's see how stupid these guys were.
Yep.
Or, who knows? Maybe we were all right.
Yeah, maybe some of our absolutely ridiculous ones are actually going to show up.
Yeah. It'd be way too much work, so I would never do it, probably. But it'd be really funny if I just edited this episode So I only just kept in all the predictions that were right and just edited all the wrong ones. They were like, wow, somehow we guessed this episode entirely correctly. I don't know how.
That's the kind of fucking shit I would do.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well then, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. You also get all of our episodes at game-crunch.com. If you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, Twitter, or you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon.
Hello.
Any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, that said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online on Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on. Oh, that's where I saw it. I saw it on YouTube. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, I did watch that. Speaking of, it's actually something that we didn't talk about since last week. I did watch that Did You Know Gaming video about Star Fox Racing.
Yeah, how'd that go? Because I started watching it and then I fell asleep because I was tired.
So it was because I guess they ran through the different things where they talk about like, oh, was it just kind of a ploy from Nintendo to weed out different, leakers or whatever? And, they work through there and they're like, well, it's not unheard of in the industry, but they're like, we don't really have any reason to think that's what happened here based on, everything that we saw. And they're like, well, did people get confused from, what's that game called? The Ubisoft game, Starlink. Because Starlink had the Star Fox stuff in there. There was a racing mode. They're like, yes and no. They're like, that's not really what caused this rumor. But they're like, it did contribute to it because at least one person from IGN, I think that's who they credited for it, had seen like the demo for it before it was like, kind of when it was announced like a year before. It kind of was like officially shown off, and they had shown like a section with like the Star Fox characters racing or whatever.
Okay.
And I guess they just weren't paying attention and just kind of thought that that's what they were seeing. So they're like that kind of added to it. But apparently it was a Twitter rumor monger had made up the rumor and then had sent it to some of the other people and were like, hey, I know something. Like the different outlets, it was like, hey, I know something you don't know. And they were like, oh, okay. And then they just took it as a real story, and then they all ran with it.
I see.
Yeah, so moral of the story was, it was neither of the things that anyone thought it was. It was not even an elaborate kind of like Twitter story, but it was basically the person on Twitter, the leaker, was just like, what do they say? They wanted some like kind of credence, so they made up this rumor, and then they also sent it to the different like publications, and then they all published it as like a rumor that they had heard, and they had not actually like done any more digging on it.
I see.
Yeah. So
basically it was just like a he said, she said, and they were just like, yep, that's definitely what happened.
Yeah, and apparently they had heard it from like, apparently he had like emailed it to them, but then they also heard about it from some sort of like chat where like a lot of different like journalists or whatever work. Like It was also discussed in there on that end. So they were like, oh, we got this email and we heard it in this chat. So we've heard it from two different sources. So it must be real. It's definitely coming.
Oh my God. Oh, how stupid.
Yeah. I was pretty impressed. So yeah, no, 100% debunked. It was never a real thing. The logo that came out was made by Roger Space as not as like a means to like deceive anyone. It was like a promotional art that he made for a video that I guess he was working up, and then it was found and sent along as like part of this kind of.
All right, now I gotta say this is a joke. So tomorrow they're gonna announce Star Fox Racing, right?
That would be really funny. I'd be like, oh, you know what, guys? You thought this was fake, but it was real the whole time. we tricked even Digital Gaming.
And we double tricked everybody. Let's fucking go.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all that was about. So
we hit him with the left and we hit him with the right and bam! Headbutt.